Hi, Bhavesh. Welcome to
Hey,
the
James.
show.
Thank you, James. Good to see you again.
Yeah, likewise. How has your passion for biohacking and optimizing human performance shaped your approach to building and growing your aesthetics businesses?
So, James, what it is, I can see that the there's a big interest in like obviously wellness and health and aesthetics, but I think that there's a fine line between these, and I really feel that the future of wellness and aesthetics will be sort of merged together. So people want to look good from the outside, but they also want to feel good from inside. And I think sometimes it's like works from within to come out as well. So I've had a keen interest in biohacking and understanding how we can increase longevity. But I think the core things will never be like substituted, like in the sense of exercise, sleep, and obviously nutrition. But adding technology, adding supplements, adding these sort of things, really enhance our performance as well. So, in terms from my clinic, we obviously do aesthetic treatments, but I've seen there's a good interest in increasing longevity from technologies and supplements as well.
Where did that passion kind of first start? Where did it come from? You specifically said you're passionate about biohacking. Where did it, what was the genesis?
I think I'll be honest. I think the first thing is like obviously understanding and learning from others. Like I read a lot. I look at a lot of motivational stuff. Like I believe everything starts from the mind and your beliefs and your experiences and all of these sort of things as well. So I think mainly I would say that a lot of it. Tony Robbins. I looked into a lot of his stuff, and like one of the videos I saw of Tony Robbins using a machine, a PMF machine. He was on his island in Fiji, and he's on this machine that he's just like pulsing electromagnetic waves. I was quite intrigued about it, so I like paused the video and thought, okay, where do I get this from? And then got in touch with the suppliers, and I bought that device, and I actually use it myself. I've got it behind me in my room. I wake up in the morning, have a treatment on this, but it's like 12 minutes. So I think it's just like you gotta like be intrigued to find out more about certain things, and then the more you get into it, the more you're going to learn. I think we've got a wealth of knowledge right now. Just on YouTube you can learn anything and everything from just searching. I think back in the days when I was younger, like if you want to find something out, you got to get on a bus to go to the library to open a book out to find something out. Now it's just like so but yeah, it was just I've been interested myself. So I found from various different sources as well. So yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned Tony Robbins because he was the start of sort of my, I've kind of been on the same journey, that personal growth journey. And he was, yeah, you mentioned like back in the day, almost pre-internet, or when the internet was like first starting, like 90s. And yeah, you've just got this like wealth of information that's all of a sudden available to you, and you start, finding out about other people. And I just remember listening to, I think I was that weird kid at school, like listening to Tony Robbins stuff
Yeah.
and kind of keeping it quiet because it wasn't cool back then. It's a lot
It
more
wasn't
cooler
that you,
now.
you look like a weirdo, like my
Yeah,
mates were like laughing at me, saying, "What are you reading?" And what's this sort of stuff. But yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy how one thing leads to another, and then you sort of go down the rabbit hole of just like discovery, and you learn new things. Yeah, like I tell you a story actually. My how I got into all of this. Like one of my mates, he rang me up and he's like, "Oh, I've got this amazing opportunity. You got to come with me." It was like, and I was like, oh, "Okay, what is it?" It was So he said, "I'll be ready at this time, like next week, and wear a suit and come with me. I'll pick you up and we'll go to this thing." So I was like, "Okay, where are we going?" I was curiosity got me more than anything. So he took me to this big like hall in St. Catherine's Dock where it was all these people dressed up, and it was like this pyramid scheme. I don't know if you've ever heard of these things where you go
Uh,
there and someone recommends you like a MLM sort of multi-level marketing thing, and they've got this whole speech and everything. And then it was actually that point where I learned about some sort of positive mental. The thing was a scam in a way, but you sign your mates up, they sign you up, and it just goes, and the guys at the top make all the money. But
uh,
from that, they was talking about certain books. So and I got those books, started reading it, and then that was one good thing that come from it. But yeah, it's that was probably my my door opening to personal development, I guess. Yeah.
mm. That's funny as well because I've experienced the same thing, totally. And yeah, you go to like a network marketing MLM, you get sucked in to go into an event like you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn how to start a business, make all this money, and it again. It was kind of like different back, say, like I don't know, maybe 15 years ago or something, where that was new. Whereas now you kind of it's scammy stuff going on. You don't want to. And then you
Yeah.
go to an event like that, and everyone's just trying to pitch each other, and it's
Oh no,
funny.
yeah. I know,
Um,
I know. It's like people are trying to think, what can I get out of someone sitting next to me and this and that. Like, wait, what's in it for me? And like, I've realized in my journey, there's hardly no shortcuts.
uh,
You want to get from here to here, but it like the shortcuts normally end up being a headache, and just like,
uh,
there's no self-discovery and understanding that how you become as a person from your journeys is something that you learn on the route, I guess,
uh, yeah, absolutely. And you've been running aesthetics clinics for over 12 years. Is that right?
That's
Somewhere
right, yeah.
somewhere there and
Yes,
thereabouts.
yeah.
What first attracted you to into that industry then?
Yeah, no, good question actually. So I've been doing different businesses for a while. Like before this, I had a travel business. It was a travel agency. Then I was importing stuff from China, like, little things to sell in car boot sales and all sorts of, random things like these crystals where you got holograms in them, and all sorts. I had a sweets business where a couple of me and my mates, we started up. Uh, his dad was a finance director of a sweets factory in Sweden, so we went there and drove back with a van full of sweets and trying to sell pick and mix stuff, and all of these things. But along this journey, like my mother, she ran a salon, like a basic beauty salon, and she was doing pretty well. And then she was one of the first people to start like laser hair removal, and she got a device from this manufacturing company in Italy, and like she's been running it for many years. And then around about 12 years ago or so, I thought like, oh, let me start helping them out and just helping their business, because they obviously, is making good money. And what I was doing was just like not getting anywhere. Like I was just trying. And from that, it was like a light bulb moment to think, oh, wow, like there's this there. Then we got a good relationship with the manufacturers. So we went out to Italy. And then they basically started making the machines for us, so white labeling them. So I was selling those devices, and then I started opening up some more clinics, and then I had a franchise model as well. After COVID, it was quite rough, so we ended up selling a few, scaled down, like went down to two locations right now, and now we're starting up again, franchising as well. So it's just what got me on into this is just like by accident. Like sometimes something was right in front of me and I didn't see it, and now yeah, it was just an easier way to start into this business, because my family experience was within it as well. So yeah.
Uh, and was it? Yeah. So I'm kind of. It's funny because I don't know. Your journey is different to mine, but there's a lot of similarities and overlap. So I'm just wondering whether, like, when you started with going to like say an MLM event and you start to learn about like online marketing, internet marketing, the new way of marketing businesses, leveraging online digital stuff rather than it just being the traditional approach. Was
Yeah.
that kind of a background that, and then you sort of attached it to aesthetics businesses? You said your mum had one and you kind of saw the gap there with, the traditional way. And then you saw like the gap to market this, take it online, develop more business that way. Is that kind of how it happened?
Yeah, well, definitely. I think what it is like times are changing so rapidly. So what was relevant 5 years ago or 10 years ago is obviously not the way to do it now. I think when we started off, I noticed that a lot of these daily deal sites were just like kicking off. Like you had Groupon and Voucher, and you put something on there, and you've got like hundreds of sales. So we adopted that route, and I thought, look,
Mm,
that's a no brainer, because I didn't have the marketing skills at that stage. Like right now, I can run lead generation campaigns and get loads of leads, and doing it myself and understanding that. But from that time to where we are today, obviously, the everything changes after a while. So, in terms of what from what I learned on, I think what I learned from the MLM, the that event I went to, and it's just like absorbing yourself in knowledge. Like sometimes you don't know when that knowledge is going to be relevant or is going to help, but at times you can like you've got it somewhere in the brain, and you're always sort of learning and evolving, and then you can adapt yourself into different situations and understand different responses. But yeah, I think that it's constant. I think it's just like I'm obsessed to like, I do audiobooks every day. I go out for, like, I've done a walk, like I've done my 10,000 steps, and I just like, that's your time to like think and just absorb something, because you never know when those nuggets actually help and make a difference.
For sure. And it's also the programming, like the positive programming, because owning businesses, running businesses, that you face hard times. Like there's a lot of up and down. And when you're
Yeah.
always, programming yourself with stuff that's, business insights or like personal growth stuff that's just inspiring, you kind of like keeping that optimism, and facing it's a huge part of the entrepreneur's journey, I think.
Oh, 100%. No, definitely. I think that's the main thing. Like, your perception of keeping on track, and just like, I probably get everyone gets these days where you just wake up and you think, everything's going wrong, and you're not getting anywhere, but sometimes you think you're the only one, and then as you start speaking to people and you realize that it's just human, behavior. We all go through these things, but it's just sometimes you're just in your own mind, and it's like having the perception and some level of gratitude as well. Like, if I look where I am today, where I was like 5-10 years ago, and I thought, oh, like, you'll be in this place, in this house, and have this and have that, and your family and this and that, you'd be like, oh wow. But when you're in it, I think we get habitualized into our in our surroundings. Even something positive that happens, it doesn't last for long. It's like, I got something sorted like a few days ago. It's done, it's finished. Like, I was like, I appreciate it for about an hour, and now it's like, okay, now what's next? It's constant.
Uh,
So I think taking that time to have a bit of gratitude. But it's easier to say, and then you just got to like not be too hard on yourself as well. I think
uh,
everyone, even right now, James, as well, I feel like there's so much content out there, like podcasts and like YouTube videos about self-development and all of this, and you see people smashing it, and you think, sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming as well. Like, it can be like maybe too much, because then you start thinking, like, you see the highlight reels of everyone doing everything, and sometimes it can be like, oh, like, I need to do more and more and more. But yeah, it's good to appreciate where you are as well.
yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. That reminds me of like the early days when I was listening to Tony Robbins stuff, and he would say, um, you set these goals and then you'll end up achieving a goal, and it'll be momentarily amazing. And then you'll just kind of go, is that all there is? And then you've just got to reset and like, what's the next goal?
Yeah.
Instead of, just loving the journey and appreciating that journey and that access to gratitude, like you said. And when he first said that, I was like, nah, if I achieve that goal that I set, I'm just going to be set for life. And then it literally happens, and you just go, man, is that all there is?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it doesn't last for that long, and then it's like, yeah. But I think, we should have a bit of yeah, like, appreciate what we've done as well, because it's like, and you sometimes you can be too hard on yourself as well.
Uh,
You can't perform the best if you're always like thinking, oh, I should have done this, should have done that, and like, you have to be yeah, sometimes be a little bit like appreciative of what you got, where you
yeah.
come from as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking back from where you are now, where you've come from, like that, you know,
Yeah.
like I look back at myself a year ago and the growth I've been through just over a year, it is incredible. Like I'm, an evolved version. So that's
100%.
helpful too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I totally agree. I think it's the amount of things that you can sort out, and you look in hindsight, think, oh, I've done all of these things, and that, I think, it's like a decision making muscle. Like, you get stronger at it. Like, if you went to the gym and you tried to pick up a heavy weight, you probably struggle straight away, but slowly, bit by bit, there's progress, but you can't see it. You can't
Uh,
see it. Just like, I think that's the other thing, that the metrics on getting somewhere, it's obviously one thing that we can always measure is money, because we can see the numbers. Other parts of our lives don't have a similar metric, like your relationships or things like that. So it's easy to forego some of this other stuff that we can't really measure, just to focus on that. But it's good to keep a balance, as
uh,
well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have, I'm sure, over the last 12 years or longer, experienced both successes and setbacks.
Yeah.
What's how have those experiences shaped your approach to business, and what are the biggest lessons that you've learned?
Yeah, really good question. That is. I feel that I've learned that sometimes you may have heard this as well, but saying no and just like not not every opportunity is the right one, and trying to be. And I struggle with this so much because you know what it is. The more you become like, the more you get into the entrepreneurial journey, and you understand the functions of different things and how things work, because you've got to like look at everything, and then you think, oh, that bit works like this and that bit works like that, but then you can't do it all as well. So you have to realize that you have to, then you think, oh, I could do that, I could do that, and sometimes being too open-minded is a distraction, and there's less focus. I feel a bit like that right now. I'm sort of spinning a lot of plates, and I
Mm,
know I should like put some down to focus on what makes sense for the long-term objective. And you want to do things that are exciting as well, like some with the clinic stuff, it runs, and I don't want to be focusing on the small things. Like I think our, like, if I had a chart for like time and value, sometimes you can put your time on a low value task, where if you had it on a, putting it on a high value task, it's gonna obviously make more sense. And sometimes we can do things that we don't need to do, or just to keep us distracted from the main things we should be doing. I've noticed that I do that a lot sometimes myself, is like do something that I could have got someone else to do, but just to keep myself busy from not doing the proper work.
mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can relate to that a lot. And taking on too many things, because things excite you, and that's I suppose that's another entrepreneurial curse, because you kind of have these visions, right? You get ideas, and you've got a vision for where you can take that. So you'll just start taking things on, and then it's like it's too much. You're just spreading yourself too thin. Um, and then it comes back to, which is an important point, reflecting on like that time that you're spending, like what's it worth, what's it worth to the ultimate objective, like you said. um is that how you kind of deal with that? Because you said you said you're going through that now. So is it a case of, and do you have a structure for planning? So do you reflect on the time that you've spent on a weekly basis or monthly, or however that works, and then figure out, okay, I've got to either drop this or find a way to delegate it to move forward on the things that I need to work on? Is that how you
No,
operate?
100%. Yeah, I think it's just like, so now you become a bit, or like I'm become a bit more strategic in my approach, and delegating things that don't require a certain skill set. And if I can outsource that skill set to someone who's good at these things, like someone with like the best communication skills should be on the phone, rather than someone who's good at technical things but is not good at communicating. So then you need to move that person in the right place before, without thinking, I could put one of my team members who I know may not have the same rapport as someone, and put them in a position that's quite critical for that skill. And now it's like moving that person around to like, and recently I've outsourced as well. So I thought about this, and it made sense that before I had a call center, well, some people ringing from me from Indonesia, but then I found that the culture for the UK wasn't connecting that well with those, when we were ringing the UK client base. And then, so
Mhm.
now I've moved that to South Africa, and I've got some people from South Africa ringing, and it seems to be working well. Like the conversation's going well, things like that. So it's just like trial and error really, and like looking at, but it's like zooming out as well, because sometimes if you're too zoomed in, then you're just gonna like probably focus on the low value thing. But if you zoom out a little bit and look a bit more strategically, and I need to put this function in that, but then it's like finding the time to train, finding the time to document, all of these sort of things. And having a family, having like other things. And I think I feel right now, James, I think we're in a society that being good is not good enough. You got to be like exceptional. You got to hit the gym. You got to do your steps. You got to eat well. You got to do your business. You got to like motivate your staff. You got to like, what, just to get by, just to,
Mhm.
and but it's quite demanding. Like I feel maybe because that's how society, portrays that, like we're always looking at the highlight reel of everyone else's successes more, though more so. I think we should, be a little bit more vulnerable to show the problems that we have, because I think that would have a little bit more connection with people, because it's like pain is a part of it. There's no, like, it's a feature, of what we're doing. Like,
Mm,
if you look at like what we're trying to do, we're trying to have a lot of control amongst other people to get the output. Especially as the business becomes bigger, you have to
mm,
rely on many people. But then that's where, you know there's going to be problems as well. So which is a feature of it, not an issue, and not it's just like looking at the solutions. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and part of that, yeah. So part of the delegation and stuff is, I don't know. I find this like just letting go of control of certain things, that and being okay with other people to take control of something where you kind of know if you do that yourself, you get a better output, and you maybe your reputation's on the line, and you've just got to let go of control and sort of face the pain of that delegation process until somebody gets as good as you, and then or if not better, there's those
100%.
situations as well.
100%. I
Yeah.
think it's just like, let someone take some shots, because if you don't take the shots, you're never going to score the goals, and
Mm,
the more practice you're going to get, the better you're going to get. So it's like understanding that that is a part of the learning curve. And like I've and then it doesn't really, like, I've got some salespeople when I said, look, don't worry about messing it up. That's what you're supposed to do. With there's thousands of people to speak to. So just try your best, and they get better. You just get better
mm.
at it. And then sometimes we give like low value leads to someone to do that, but then from so many repetitions, they'll probably perform better than someone who I think is, like, good at this, because they've had a lot of practice.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so tell me more about your sort of current business ecosystem and model, because it's a little bit different to. So I know like you mentioned go high level on a previous conversation, where you can set up that sort of infrastructure for say a clinic, for example, to focus on driving leads and all the customer relationship management and all that stuff, which is
Yeah.
that's a pretty like well-known model, the agency model. You can kind of see it on YouTube now, people talking about that. But then you've got kind of a unique, different thing where you mentioned about tapping into a distribution channel and that sort of thing. So do you want to kind of
Yeah,
just
of
go over
course.
that?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, James. So basically, what it is, we're exclusive distributor of one of Europe's leading manufacturers, Biotech Italia. So basically, the way it works is that we can provide the technology, we can provide the training, we can provide marketing, we can provide a SaaS model as well. Obviously, the infrastructure of using that. So what we're trying to do is to upgrade existing locations, or to partner with a franchise model right now. So we've got a lot of medical doctors that are interested in opening their own clinic, but they haven't had the business acumen or the knowledge to do this. So they're good at what they do, like understanding human biology and understanding medicine and things like that. But when you talking about business and understand that how to navigate, so my formula right now is that we want to work with these medical professionals. I think the best way of doing it is looking at an acquisition route, where we would find an existing business like a salon or a clinic that the owner wants to sell, and this is because of like personal reasons. It could be retirement. There's so many baby boomers coming to that age right now that businesses don't sell, like 90% don't sell. You put them on the market and no one's interested, because but then what we can do is we can match these up with upgrading that business, to adding the technology, helping with the marketing, giving them the whole guidance from start to finish, and then also leaning into AI and the adoption of how the future is going to be. So the biggest opportunities come from the biggest problems. So it's really like simple to think like that way, like really like, well, what, from running this business, what are the main problems that I've had, that other people have, and what are the common issues? So if we can think about what the common problems are, and think about how we can um, take away, like, the value erosion from that. Like, I think obviously we want to get them to the dream outcome, but during that time, there's things that add value and erode value. So we want to try and minimize what, like if you booked a treatment, then you got to, book it in, you got to pay for it, you got to get on and go there, things like that. So some things along from doing the initial inquiry to getting that, is a bit of a headache. So like, what can I do to help people open their own clinics and make it as seamless as possible? Because it's quite fragmented. This industry is like everyone's working on their own. And I think there's a huge opportunity to try and work to help and put more value out there. And then
Mm,
the other thing is that if we look at the bigger model, you've got like the way that real wealth is made from buying and selling businesses. So if we've got a group of businesses within the aesthetic field that want to exit, we could negotiate a much better deal with like private equity or a VC fund to say, okay, we've got like 10, 20 people within our group and we want to sell. So your multiple of profits will be much higher as well. But this is something that like the standard clinic owner just wouldn't know, wouldn't understand
mm,
this as well. So it's like giving them a guidance and an exit option as well along down the
mm.
line as well. So that's the bigger model.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. I can see kind of, there's certain things that you're almost you're taking as models from maybe other industries and then just really innovating in the aesthetics because they're not quite as I don't want to say like clued up, but it's just the education of like certain acquisition models and that sort of thing can just be make benefit them as business owners much better.
Definitely. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
huge value in this, and it's only growing. This industry is just growing, and new technologies are coming out. So my partners in Italy have got like top of the range devices, like the latest tech for like cellulite and collagen production and lasers and all of this, and it's always evolving as well. So by adding this element, we've also got a product range as well called Ren Live. So we're exclusive to a skincare range as well. So like it's pretty much all the moving parts.
Mm.
Now we just gotta make sure it all works properly and hire the right people in the team to grow this as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds exciting. Definitely sounds exciting. You kind of I'm kind of seeing it like you've almost got the playbooks, the blueprint for taking an aesthetics company on and growing them, on the consumer side, and then you've got the relationships with the distributors of, some of the best tech, some of the most innovative tech that's going to feed
Yeah.
that demand to the consumers, and you're just kind of like channeling it through.
Definitely. See,
Yeah.
I tried to do it myself, but what I've learned from experience is that, when you try to scale a business yourself, there's a lack of enterprise within those locations. Like if I've just got staff everywhere, ultimately,
Mm,
the staff are staff and they're just gonna, do what they need to do. But when you've got the actual enterprise at each location, then it's a win-win for us
mm.
to help them. And I know that they're committed as well with our experience and our knowledge about the industry. I think this formula works much better than trying to scale it. And as a central company, we don't have all of the overheads as well. Like we can focus on our main function and scale that as well. So that's the model.
Yeah. 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 Interesting. How do you, how do you, so in the aesthetics bit, like it's competitive, right? So especially the agency side, like how do
Yeah.
you navigate that competition?
So what I tried to do is add value. Like, how can I add the most amount of value initially to my client? So when I sell a machine, I'll take a hit on some margin just to spend it back into their marketing. So we'll say, okay, when you get this machine, you're going to get 50 leads coming through from us as complimentary. So they don't think it's not an additional thing that they need to buy, because most of these devices are sold on asset finance anyway. So they just have their monthly payment that they pay to the finance company, and we can absorb some marketing within that, and then we give them to our platform on Go High Level. It's white labeled aesthetically, so we basically give them that platform, and then they can use that and then understand how it can benefit them, because there's so many features on there, like missed call text backs and all of the social media channels in one place and automations. And but the thing is, when you speak in this language, people don't get it and just don't. There's you can't, you have to emotionally sell the outcome rather than the tactical features of every little bit, because there is a big benefit there. But if you don't understand, how it all works, and what ultimately with the result of the dream outcome of that, then it's difficult to get that across.
Uh, what are the best marketing strategies and tactics that work in that industry?
So I think it is like, okay, if, like, for example, you've seen an ad somewhere and you think, oh, that looks interesting. I'm keen on that. So first we need to basically show the proof. Like, everything's based on proof. Like, if I'm sitting there trying to blow my own trumpet, oh, our clinic's the best and you got to come here and this and that. But if someone else has said, look, I've went here, I've had this
Mm,
treatment, these are my before and afters, and great service. And then, so how do we first show the proof of other people having the experience? It provides consensus that someone else has been there and they've had the result. Then there's trust as well. How do we show trust? Trust is, again, maybe a proof element, but then, like, what we try to do is have an automation to, when we're working on putting more of these in place, that they'll get a video of the clinic, of the therapist saying, hey, thanks for the inquiry. And then, and then we need to answer as many frequently asked questions as well. But the ad copy, that it's like the hook, the pain point, solution, call to action, and then you can go granular and look at like urgency. Okay, for this month we've only got 10. Like scarcity, like we've got that as well. So we've only got 10. So you want to take the offer right now, and then show the value as well. I think it's ultimately about value. These are our marketing strategies, but the product and the service should be good, to have a genuine value for the client. Yeah, then when you've got referrals and upsells as well.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, exactly like you said, it's that social proof that demonstrates the value. Because at the end of the day, if it's not good, you might have been, we might have been able to get away with that better when the internet wasn't as advanced, with the older MLM type businesses. But now, social proof and stuff, it's you know very quickly if something's not
100%.
on par. So yeah,
Yeah,
and obviously in
AI as well.
aesthetics.
Plus, you've got
Mm,
AI as well, making it so simple for anyone to, understand everything. I think it's great if you give it the right context. The content is really good. So
mm,
obviously you need to tweak it to make it, relevant to what you're trying to do. But yeah, that's it's a game changer, that is, in itself.
mm. Yeah, and so I can. So obviously, you've got to get all the fundamentals, the foundational, aspects of a marketing machine for a clinic and for the growth. That makes total sense. And then I'm kind of seeing that you're also just remaining at the forefront of innovation when it comes to the services that clinics can provide. So there's that innovation creates like the novelty side of things. If there's something on trend or there's something getting bigger, and you're all over that because you've got the distribution of new machinery and that sort of thing. That obviously creates that new novelty innovation, right?
100%. Yeah, I think, things are changing so rapidly, like the rate of change. It's yeah, you just got to be engaged and like understand what's happening. I even listen to a lot of Elon Musk stuff because it's like at the next level crazy. Like, it's so high level, but that gives you an idea of what someone of that thinking, thinks. And it's like, there's like these robots coming out soon. Optimus. I don't know if you heard of all these. The world is changing so fast, but it's if you don't, like, lean into it, then you can get left behind, and you think, oh wait, when did this all happen, sort of things.
Uh,
Yeah, I think it's really important to think about not where we are, but what is it going to look like, and what can I do in this marketplace to add value. Like, I even say to my wife, like, my kids, they're young, they study, like, they're about 11, and my other one's 8. So I'm thinking, when they come to the world to go to work, it'll be different, like, there'll be so many things that, so many jobs that aren't like relevant, that, people are studying, in the education system, because it's still pretty dated as well.
mm, yeah, yeah. What are yeah? So talking about AI, what are the biggest things that are changing your industry when it comes to AI as a new, that new technology now, and what do you kind of see over the next few years?
Yeah, I think right now, predominantly is probably used in the marketing function, for
Uh,
ad. therapies and things like that, and like looking at how we can, understand and get good content that engages with people. But I think that it's going to be taking away a lot of admin and monotonous tasks that don't involve, us to do certain things all the time and sort of think for itself to some degree. I don't know how soon, that people are going to go to a clinic and there'll be a robot there to do the treatment, because I think that, like, sometimes we can be a victim of our success, that, we could get so advanced that we're losing the human
Mm,
connection and emotion with people, just like, because everything's so digital right now, that having that human interaction is so important. Like, it
mm,
just, like just talking to a stranger, you've people come away feeling good about it, because it's like something that is novel, and everyone's so hooked up to their screens and everything like that. But I think, we want to think like, how can we not like become a victim of our success in with technology as well, because it can be so instant gratification that,
mm,
you don't appreciate anything then, like, when I was younger, we had like 4 channels. I had a few toys, and I valued those things. Like, when I got something, I really valued it. Whereas my kids, they feel like they got to get something every time we go out. But that's the culture
mm,
that we're in. And, if you're watching stuff, it's like too much choice. And I think
mm,
sometimes we then you don't appreciate anything as well,
mm. Yeah, it's funny you say that about, yeah, because it was the same with me when I was younger. Yeah, we had 4 channels, and one of the channels would like turn off, like
Yeah.
overnight or whatever.
Yeah.
And it is like now you go into Netflix and sometimes you end up, you just wanted to chill out, switch off for an evening, and you end up spending more time browsing around because there's that much of an abundance of films to watch. Whereas it used to be a case of like we go to Blockbuster to rent one film, and then that'd be
I
it's
know, right?
crazy.
It's crazy, isn't it? And if
Yeah.
back in the days, you have to, like, if you get up to change a channel, if you were lucky enough to have a remote, can you imagine that? Like, it's like, and yeah, it's crazy. It's so much choice that I feel like, value erodes as well, because the
Mm.
things are, something that's scarce is more valuable, and you've got so much. It's like, you know, how do we
Yeah.
appreciate things as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so with the point on AI then, so it's yeah, leveraging the marketing function and then the customer service side of things, but being careful over, losing that human touch and that human
Yeah,
element. And I do see this. I see this now. It's becoming more valuable, like just the human centric side to sales and marketing. You see it you see it everywhere. You see it in copy and writing and stuff. You're like,
yeah,
man, there's so much stuff that's just being pumped out because it's AI generated, and if you've
I
got a keen eye for that sort of thing, you can tell. Um,
100%.
so
I
it
even
is
think that
this.
it's better to go back to the old ways of doing certain things, like
Mm,
physically going and meeting someone,
mm,
and having a chat and creating that relationship, and do it. Like, I've got more people, like, on the phone speaking to people. I think, obviously, when it comes to sales, the best time to sell or to create a relationship is when the person's right in front of you.
mm,
The second option would be the phone, and then going, like, to text and WhatsApp, and then, like, emails after. But even, like, mail, like, no one sends anything in the post nowadays as well. So
mm.
it's just like, to open something up and see a brochure, or something like that. So, that you're gonna get, it's gonna stand out more than, like, an email in the inbox, which just, there's so many, it just becomes like wallpaper. You don't see it after a while.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. And it is crazy. Even just the transition over like pre-COVID, post-COVID, how everything just became, because you're kind of from the online digital marketing side of things. So it's not as crazy to you, but like traditional businesses, getting on a Zoom meeting or something that wasn't normal until COVID, and now it's just pretty normal. Um,
100%. Yeah, yeah.
which is it's good to the extent that I can be out in Spain and run my business remotely, which is great. But there are times when I do think like, yeah, I do miss that. Just being in the UK and just going into a business and just having that human to human interaction. And I do think sometimes if I wanted to pick up another client instead of doing outbound, that's it's like volume scale and that sort of thing. If you just started going into businesses, like it'd be so much. It would
Yeah,
be
I
a
know.
better experience.
100%. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think yeah, we're sort of losing that interaction, and in a way, it's really good to do things like this. Just have a conversation with someone and talk about things, because I think it gives you that sort of connection as well to understand that what someone else is going through, and you're not the only one. Because I think that sometimes makes people feel really like just in your mind, and
Mm,
having that connection and sharing problems and looking at solutions as well is you know uh, quite insightful for everyone involved.
mm. Yeah, yeah. What what advice would you give to entrepreneurs looking to enter the aesthetics and wellness industry?
So I'd say, what's the reason why you want to do this in the first place? Is it just you have to understand that people, like, if we're looking at a tactical perspective, that people are coming for treatments, but they're really feeling that they want confidence in themselves, to feel better about themselves and how they look. So I think that's one of the main factors that people should consider. So there's a lot of value from making people feel good about themselves, understanding that how they increasing their confidence. I think that when navigating how to start in aesthetics, um, they can reach out to us. I'd be happy to help and look at what's the first thing. So I think it's like looking at the objectives, what they want to achieve, what value they want to give out there, and then looking at the business and where they want to go with it as well. Do they just want to open one clinic or a chain, or is it a specific thing that they want to focus on as well? So it's just understanding what their main dream outcome is.
Mm. Yeah, and looking ahead over the next, 5, 10 years, what's your sort of big vision for, what you've got going on with your businesses and anything else?
Yeah, I'm looking at scalability. Like, how can we scale something to benefit as many people as possible? Obviously, you've got software, which is the most scalable, and then you've got solutions and consultancy, these sort of things as well. So I'm looking at how we can potentially help with the biggest problems. Like, it could be staff recruitment, it could be like training, it could be like certain elements to help success. So I think we're probably going to be looking at our franchise growth model, like a hybrid model of helping existing businesses, but also having a franchise partner who needs the support to start in this and to navigate the right way. But I've got keen interest from some a group in India, and I'm gonna explore potentially another market as well, where I think is just the growth is like phenomenal in that continent. There's a lot going on there as well. So yeah, looking at international markets as well for expansion.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so looking at tapping into the Indian market, is that? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah,
interesting.
definitely. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was just
interesting.
there last December, just December gone, and yeah, it's just buzzing. There's just so much activity,
Mm.
and obviously the world is changing right now. You got all these tariffs coming in, and like it's getting a bit more difficult. There's more competition. All of these things that, like, obviously you've got the macro scale, and you've got your own philosophy that drives how your outlook and your perception of it as well. But then you have to be open minded to how the landscape of everything is right now as well. So it's important to play that into consideration as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is a great conversation, Bhavesh. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
When,
likewise.
where
Enjoy.
can people find out more about you online?
So you can find me on LinkedIn. That's Bhavesh Demecha, spelled Bhavesh, and the last name's Demecha, Dhamecha. And you can find me there. And if you want to reach out, they can email me directly, Bhavesh at the laserclinicgroup.com. And yeah, I'll be happy to help, or see how we can work together, or just help anyway.
Yeah, nice. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and yeah, I'll be watching the growth of what you've got going on in the aesthetics and maybe even more international and that with great interest.
Sounds good. Thank you, James. Thanks for inviting me. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks.